Welcome back. Teacher Nita is here to handle science class 7, and today we are doing revision of a question randomly picked from various topics. Now this is how we are going to do it. We are going to discuss the questions and the answers, then I will leave you to listen to the question, then decide which one is the answer for you during your revision time. Number one, we have a diagram here of the blood circulatory system, and we are asked the blood vessel represented by the letter T. We want letter T. Now in this case you have to get back to the blood circulatory system. You master the diagram of the blood circulatory system. You know which ones are the veins, which ones are the artery. We know that all the arteries, their function in the blood vessel is to take blood. All the arteries, their work is to take blood away from the heart. All the veins bring blood into the heart. So the first thing you have to realize here, which ones are the veins and which ones are the arteries. Then from there you decide their names. Which one are the pulmonary vein, pulmonary artery, vena cava, and the aorta. So first check where the heart is. Heart is here. Then from the heart we have lung. Then the other part we have bodies. So leg is part of the body. We can choose any part, either stomach, brain, leg, hand, wherever, as long as it is part of the body. Now we said all arteries, their function is to take blood away from the heart. So look at the arrows from the heart and where the head of the arrow is pointing. So in this case, X is taking blood away from the heart to the lung. Then we have T is coming from the lung and the arrow is pointing to the heart. So the blood is coming from the lung to the heart. And we are looking for T. And we said blood vessels that bring blood to the heart, they are veins. We know vena cava is a main vein and it brings the blood into the heart. Another vein that brings the blood into the heart is only pulmonary vein. So automatically T is a pulmonary vein. Come and check the answers, you decide for yourself. Which is not an importance of mulching, number 2. When we are making types of fertilizers and manure, we have organic and inorganic. And we said one of the organic manures, one of them is mulching. We call them organic mulches. And what are the function of the mulching? Other than they add manure to the soil, do they have other functions? Now all these are functions of mulching except one. So which one is it? We say mulches. Do you know what mulches are? Putting a plant is growing. We have a plant is growing here. Then down here we put dry grasses. These dry grasses we put down here, this is what we call mulches. So one function of the mulches, when they rot or they decompose, they make manure, they add manure to the soil. Apart from adding manure to the soil, mulching also have other functions. Number one, mulching decreases the rate of evaporation. What is evaporation? The process by which soil loses water. So when we cover the top of the soil, the less water is lost to the environment through evaporation. So one function is decreases. Number 2, apart from decreasing the rate of evaporation, it also suppresses weeds. It prevents weeds from growing. So we say it controls or suppresses weed. Number 3, mulching retains moisture in the soil. And that is the main function of mulching. The main function why we do mulching is to retain moisture in the soil. Then another function of mulching is it controls soil erosion. Now check the choices. Conserve moisture, we've said it conserves moisture. Control soil erosion, it controls weeds, that is suppressing weeds, it is also there. Increase rate of evaporation. Now mark this is increase. But we said it decreases, so you know where the answer is. The second DPT, number 3, the second DPT vaccine is given at what age? Do you know what a vaccine is? Vaccines, these are drugs which are given to prevent us from getting diseases. And we have different vaccines for different diseases. The major one which we give to children below 5 years, they are around 5, the major one, though there are also others. So the first one we have BCG, we have DPT, we have anti-measles, anti-polio, and we have yellow fever vaccine. But now they are asking a specific one, DPT. Do you know what DPT stands for? And which diseases are we given the DPT against? The first disease is D, which is diphtheria. The second one is pertussis, that is whooping cough. Then we have T for tetanus. But we want at what age they are given. DPT is given in 3 times, in 3 doses. The first one is given at 6 weeks. 6 weeks, this is number Number 3, DPT. The second one, 6 plus 4 is 10 weeks. Then the third one is given 10 plus 4 is 14 weeks. 14. So this is the first DPT, second DPT, and the third DPT. So the question is asking, at what age is the second one given? The second one is here. It is given at 10 weeks. We have only 2 vaccines which is given at 9 months. The first one is anti-measles for measles, and we have yellow fever vaccines for yellow fever. At birth, we also have 2. We have BCG for tuberculosis, and we have anti-polio for polio. Then at 6 weeks, we have here the first DPT. Then number 4, which is the function of plasma in the blood? The first thing you need to find out, what is plasma? What is plasma? Plasma is one of the components of blood. Now, apart from plasma, do we have other components of blood? Yes, we have. How many are they? The 4 components of blood: plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. But here they want functions of plasma. And remember, plasma has the most forms the most percentage of the blood. Most part of the blood is covered by plasma because it is the watery part of the blood. And plasma has the highest function in the blood. Most function in the blood is offered by plasma because it does transport different things. Now, as we come here, you also need to know the function of the red blood cells, the platelets, and the white blood cells, because in the choices they might be mixed. So let us see, what is the function of the red blood cells? The red blood cells, it transports oxygen. So this is not for plasma, this is for red blood cell, transport oxygen. Then we have defense body against diseases. Which one is that? This is for white blood cells. Transport hormones, we said the major function of plasma is transport. It transports various things we are going to discuss, and then helps in blood clotting. This one is platelets. This one defending is white cells, and this one, oxygen, is red blood cells. Red blood cells for that. So transports hormone, 1, it transports food nutrients from the ileum to other body parts. 2, number 3, it also transports heat from the liver to various body parts. Number 4, it transports waste from various parts of the body to where they are removed outside the body. Some of the function, refer to your textbook for more functions of plasma. So there we have the answer, you see. Number 5, all the following are ways of using water sparingly, except. Now this is under environment, water conservation, ways of conserving water. Do you know some of the ways of conserving waters? Yes, refer to your textbook. Number 1, using water sparingly. Number 2, recycling. Number 3, reusing water, construction of dams, and harvesting rainwater. 5 ways of conserving waters. But each and every way has small ways of conserving water under it. For example, we have using water sparingly. This is using water in small amount. Just take the one enough for you. Don't take excess to waste it. Now check here. Which ones are ways of using water sparingly? A, closing leaking taps. When the taps are not in use, close them tightly such that water is not dropping down, because that water is going for a waste. Nobody is using it. Using drip irrigation. What is drip irrigation? Drip irrigation is where we get a plant and we want to water this our plant, we want to do irrigation. We don't pour water on top, because when we pour water on top, there is a likelihood most of the water will just go wasted. Small amount will get on the root so that the plant can absorb. So in this case, using drip irrigation, take a bottle, put water inside the bottle, put the bottle at the base of the roots. Put it just at the base of the roots with water. So water will be getting directly to the roots of the plant instead of being wasted. So in this case, using drip irrigation, it uses water sparing, it does not waste. Then we have repairing broken pipes. Any damaged pipe, we should repair them. Why? Because if we don't repair them, we will be wasting water. The water will be going harmlessly and being wasted. Then we have recycling water. What is to recycle water? Now, recycling water is majorly used in industries and factories. This is where, after they use that water and it is now dirty, They collect it at a point, they treat it, and they pump it back to the factory for use. Now, this is not reusing. It is a way of conserving water, yes, but it's not using water sparingly. It is recycling, just the name state, recycling water. So this one is not. And we said it is majorly used in factories and industry. So which is the answer? You know the answer, which is D. Number 6, which of the following is a disadvantage of inorganic fertilizers? Soil. This is under soil. Inorganic fertilizers, we have two types of fertilizers: organic, the ones we make at home, and then we have inorganic, the ones we buy from the shops. So in this case, we want a disadvantage of the ones we buy from the shops. Now, inorganic fertilizers we buy from the shop, it has a lot of advantages. But now look at these choices. They are bulky to transport. What is bulky? Being heavy, so making it difficult to transport. But remember, these ones we buy in small packets, which you can carry even 10 of them just carrying and walking, other than the ones we make at home, where we need heaps, a lot of them to transport to the farm. So this one, inorganic, it is easy to transport, not bulky to transport. Polluting environment. Polluting environment. Yes, we said if you use excess of inorganic fertilizers, they will pollute the environment. They will pollute soil. When it rains, all the inorganic fertilizers, they will be drained into water bodies. They will produce that, pollute that water. And again, when we use them excess, they get inside the air, into the air. We breathe them. They pollute the air. So just use enough. Don't use excess. They will pollute environment. They take a long time to prepare. These ones, they don't take a long time because anytime you need them, they are available. Just go to the shop and pick. They are available. But the ones we make at home, they take a long time to prepare. So here we have answer is A. I did not write D. Harvard wanted to separate millet from shafts. Which method did he use? What is chaff? Chaff, these are the, when you get your millet from the farm and when you've prepared it and you want to get the millet from the waste. Shafts are the waste from the millet. We need to separate them because we don't need that waste. So which method do we use to separate them? Method of separation. Winnowing, decanting, using magnet, and evaporation. Remember we said evaporation majorly is used with mixable. Those solids that mix or dissolves completely in a liquid, like salt and sugar. Anytime you see salt, a mixture of salt or sugar anywhere, this one evaporation will be needed because when you combine with water, they will mix completely. Use of magnet, need magnetic materials. So anytime you see a metal anywhere, magnetic material, anytime you see a metal anywhere, definitely use of magnetic is involved. Then decanting, we need water and solids which are not mixable or dissolve, which do not dissolve in water. Solids plus a liquid, and the solid does not dissolve in water. That one is decanting. So in this case, we are using winnowing. You take a tray outside in the wind, you just shake the tray and throw it up, all the shafts will go out. So we will separate millet and chaff by using winnowing. The last one, dash soil erosion is controlled by cut-off drains. Different types of soil erosions, we have them here. You know how they are formed. So which one do we prevent or do we control by using cut-off drains? Gully erosion, we said we control by building gabions, check dams, or porous dams. Because they are trenches, they are big. Construct a gabion, check dam, or porous dam. Splash erosion and sheet erosion, we said because they are they happen outside majorly on the top of the soil. We cover the soil by doing mulching or growing cover crops. Cover the top of the soil, grow grass, any crop that can cover the top of the soil. Mulching or cover cropping, control splash and sheet. Then real erosion, we can control by building or constructing cut-off drains. This is how real happen. Real erosion. When water comes from higher area, it comes and there is a main channel here flowing down from higher area. Then we have small channels joining the main channel. Down at all the tips of the main channel, make a hole, a shallow tunnel here, hole Just dig a hole here. Let all the soil being carried be deposited in the hole. Once the hole is full, make another down. So this way we control this soil erosion. We collect all the soil without allowing them being swept down to the rivers. So in this case, the soil erosion method which is being controlled by cut-off drains is rail erosion. Then something about sheet erosion. Remember we said sheet erosion, we don't realize when it is happening. You cannot see it happening. You can see rill is here, you can see gully is big channels, you can see splash dots, but sheet erosion you will not see. So this is a method that happens without being realized.